Well, the game today was between two teams who came into it 3-6, and it looked like a game between two 3-6 teams. Part of the time, Colorado was good. Part of the time, West Virginia was good. And they were also both bad. It's a win. I mean, this is a good thing. It is better to win than lose. And, it has been said by many that, managing to win when you don't play your best is significant. You have to find a way to do that because sometime in a season, most teams have at least one bad game. And, if you don't win that one, it can mean the season sometimes. So, happy for the win. We're going to talk about the good stuff. We're going to talk about the bad stuff. And we'll see what all we can do. I am not at my best, so, hey, I may punt. Doing these videos, you don't get to kick a field goal, so I'll either go for the score, for the touchdown, or I'll punt. We'll see. This is WVU Football Going Deep. I am Forrest Poston. You see a little bit in the background. That is Holly Go again. And she is standing on the keyboard, so we'll have to see if the recording stops or not. All righty. Please, click the thumbs up. All of the various buttons that you might have an option, the positive buttons that you can click. And I will continue to ask that you show your support if you do like the channel and want it to continue. There's Venmo and Cash App, because you can make a very small, $2 or $5, send it my way, and it reaches me. They don't take a big chunk like some of, like YouTube does. And YouTube, I don't get a penny until it reaches over $100. So, unless y'all want to really toss a good deal of money through there, it's not a good route. I'm sorry, it's the easy way, but okay, enough of that. I apologize. Let me get to the interesting stuff. Some good, some bad, but the game stuff. Now, we had Machianoli and Crawford back as right guard and right tackle, and it showed. The line was not as good. The pass protection was not as good. The running game was not as good. I will not be the first or the last to say what the is going on with putting these guys back in when the team does better with other players in there. Now, I don't know what Young Bear's health was, but we've got Carson Lee and we've got Bosley, and we've got Holly Go trying to cause trouble. And I don't know what the deal is with Bosley, but unless he's injured, if he's just not playing because Rodriguez and they don't want to put him in, I don't see him hanging around next year. I don't know if he's being treated badly, but dang it, I'd like to see what he can do, because these other guys are stinking it up. I mean, we've got defenders running right past them. Now, hey, our defense ran right past the tackles for Colorado, but they weren't the starting tackles. Colorado was missing both starting tackles, and I get one of them is potentially the best player on the whole team. And that may have been the difference in the game, actually. So let's not get too excited about this. I do not think the team advanced this week. I don't even think they held even. I think there was some slippage this week. And if you take this team back to play Utah, I think you get pretty much the same result we did before. Even with Fox at quarterback, he's playing fairly well. Wasn't a great game, some good runs, but some mistakes. And again, that's the theme of the game for both teams. Big play, big mistake. And West Virginia managed to make slightly fewer mistakes. I've said the last couple of weeks that West Virginia has been living off of the mistakes by the other team, whether it's turnovers or penalties. And those two games, it was the other team making mistakes and West Virginia not making mistakes. Now today, West Virginia did their best to give the game away. Now, the two interceptions by Fox, everybody wants to downplay them. One was fourth down and it didn't make a big field position difference. The other, I think Rodriguez said that the ball was tipped. I did not see that. I thought it was more of a issue, communications between receiver and QB. I think Fox expected the receiver to cut off the route or something, and I need to watch. I did not rewatch any of the highlights or lowlights, so that's just off the top of my head. But they weren't good. Of course, they were freshman mistakes, and he's a freshman. And the universe tends to balance out. We went a while without the mistakes, or the mistakes, the ball bounced our way, like Bauer's fumble. That is not his first fumble of the season. He does not have good ball security when he hits the line. It's not like he was out running free trying to make moves. He was going through the middle of the line. He did not have the ball secure. And that is not the first time he has failed to secure the ball going through the line. Last week, or game before, I forget which, fumbled in a very similar situation and the ball bounced right up to him. This time it did not. It was a turnover, and that has to be corrected. And of course, he continues to get carries because we don't have a whole lot behind him at this point. And we were lucky. Hubbard he's hurt. Very easy to re-injure things, but he keeps coming back. Got to give him credit for that now. And he was bigger in the passing game than the running game. Total yardage, still very good. Running game got what it had to get. A lot of that was actually Fox. Fox had a good running game today. I hate to see him do it because you can see he's got a brace on that leg still. And Wilkins is back, so we do have a potential backup if Fox gets hurt. But you don't want to see that happen, especially if he's going to be the number one guy next year, he needs the reps this year. And it's still not settled. But we'll see how that plays out. But it is worrisome. Now, of course, the big positive, Curtis Jones. Last week, there was talk about possibly using him in short yardage. Didn't happen. This week, happened twice. And Jones can run. He's a big back. He runs hard. And he runs smart. He knows where to take the ball. But let's not start yelling for him to, get in all of the time. He's going to be very limited in the plays he's able to run well and smartly. He probably will remain a short yardage back, maybe only short yardage at the goal line. But it is something that he did very well today. Of course, teams will know about it, but doesn't mean they'll be able to stop it. It was a big positive. It was good to see that first touchdown run was, hard-nosed football. he got that almost entirely on his own because he was hit early. If he'd been hit a tad earlier before he really was going, he probably would have been down. But he pushed through 2 tackle attempts. And he didn't get there by much, but he got there. So that was a pleasant thing. He's a West Virginia kid, so of course makes it a little extra special. Glad to see it. Defense, it's the same story on defense. They did good stuff, they did bad stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of in between. And I would much rather see consistency if it's at a decent level. The big mistakes didn't hurt enough, but we're also, we're talking about, letting them 3rd down and long and they get it. And that is not sustainable. Now, of course, a lot of the guys making some of these mistakes are in their last year, so they won't be making the mistakes next year. And again, now, credit where credit's due, the coverage was not always bad. Sometimes it was. But, Lewis, quarterback for Colorado, did put some passes in the one spot where the receiver could catch it and the defensive back couldn't do much at all about it. So credit where credit is due, and I'm not going to blame the defense on those. But first half tackling, there were times when it was back to the 2, 3, 4 missed tackles on a single play. They were better in the second half, and that may be the difference. But tackling just has to be better. We're not going to win either of the last 2 games of the season tackling like they did again in the first half. Unless if we have one of the, if the other team just keeps making big mistakes. But I don't think these 2 teams coming in are the type that will be able to get by just depending on their mistakes. Colorado, the mistakes were mostly of 2 types. Some really bad offensive penalties that once again, gave West Virginia the chance to tee off. And young quarterback, he's excellent, made big plays, but he gives up way too much yardage when he starts to move around in the pocket. His first move is back 5 or 10 yards. And a lot of those sacks ended up being 10 yards or more because he gave up the ground when he really shouldn't have. And, of course, like a lot of young quarterbacks, he was sometimes too slow to get rid of the ball. Of course, also, when you've got 3 defensive players coming from 3 different directions, you kind of run out of options at some point. And with the offensive line for Colorado, that happened more than once. So in some ways, it wasn't that West Virginia won, it was that Colorado lost. And that is not my preferred way to win, but it's better to be on that side of it than the Colorado side today. Let's see here. I also want to note, I asked the question on the preview, does Colorado have an outside run? The answer in the first half was yes, and it worked. After that, I don't know if Colorado went away from the outside run, just play calling, or if West Virginia made changes on defense to take that away. I did not see outside runs that got stopped. I saw some that started as inside runs and then had to go to the outside and got stopped. But it just looked to me like Colorado quit calling those plays. Or maybe the reads changed. I'm not sure. But if the read changed, I'd call some that were just not options. They were outside runs because it was working. And of course, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again because it's working, but you don't take it completely out of your game plan. So I again, either West Virginia adapted or Colorado messed up. And they did have, I mean, if you were watching the broadcast on TNT, you heard him say that, different guy calling the plays. And, of course, the different quarterback and possibly some other changes. But a win, not really happy. And I just didn't really see anything in this game that makes me say, hey, we're continuing to make progress. So I do have concern. Now, one little thing that's it's partly related to today's game, but just an overall thing. In his press conference, Rich Rodriguez did say that at times the guys, especially in practice, seem to be treating it like a job, and he wants them to treat it like a game. He wants them to have fun and to enjoy it. I'm glad he said that. It's a very good thing. I agree with him. Now, on the other hand, it is a job. We've turned it into a job. When you pay somebody, it's no longer a game. It's a job. That affects the psychology. And you get guys who are playing because they want the money. And I think we may have a couple of guys on the team this year who are like that, or who want the fame and stardom. I'm not going to get into names until I maybe hear a little bit more or see a little bit more. Need to ask somebody to look up some things on PFF for me. We'll see about that. But and also, how hard can you push and still expect them to play for fun? We want competitive players. That's why we play the game. It's a competition. And if you're not competitive, a competition is essentially meaningless. And you want players to be very competitive. You want them, to bleed for it, essentially. But at some point, you can't just say, I don't want them to be a job, I want it to be a game, unless you really are coaching it and treating it like a game, like it's supposed to be done for fun, for pleasure. And competing, it should be for pleasure. But I think there's a line someplace that Rodriguez has to find. If he wants it to be fun, he has to coach it to be fun. He has to treat the game. He has to treat the players. He has to treat everything in that way. And sometimes, hey, if you're going to be competitive, sometimes you cross that line. But have to pay some attention to that. What did I had something else written down here? Okay, no, that was what I had written down. So just kind of summary. Why the heck are we playing Macchianoli and Crawford on the right side? Why are we not trying other guys more? Agbo, I don't think, is ready. But, and Asosa is probably still too young, but maybe, hey, give him a few plays or something. But mainly Bosley and Carson Lee. Carson Lee has been, or was the number one sub at center and guard when needed. Hasn't really been playing of late. He was injured for a while, but he's, listed technically as available, has been for the last 2 or 3 games at least. So why are we not seeing him at guard or moving Bosley over either to right tackle or right guard? I think, I know, last year these guys got cross training, and I think the current offensive line coach has said that he likes to cross train for different positions, unless it's a guy who really just can't handle it. Well, Bosley's been around long enough, and so has Lee. They should be able to handle moving between right and left, and maybe guard and center, guard and tackle. That's a little bit different, but why the heck do you go back to the combination that had done so badly before and did so badly today? That's one of the things that's on my mind. It's been on the mind for a lot of people. So we'll see. But we scored more points against Houston than we did against Colorado, and Colorado had given up 50 or more points in the last two games, and just did not do what we should have done. Colorado played better today, I think, than they had been, and yet, I did, some people have been saying, as bad as it looked at times, they never thought West Virginia was going to lose. I did. There were times when it just looked like West Virginia was doing their darndest, and then, Colorado's offense would commit a penalty or something like that. But it just still raises a lot of questions, not just about the rest of the season, but I don't think we should let the last three games. One close. TCU was closer than expected. Houston was a big win, and again today was a win. But I don't think the team has actually made big progress. I was hoping so. Each week, okay, what are we going to see? This week raised some serious doubts for me. Now, in my preview for next year, potentially the offensive line should be really good. I think we can be really good. The problem area is the defensive backs, because we're losing a bunch, and maybe we need, one or two good receivers who are good on every play. Not necessarily because they make the play, but because they're busting their butt on every play, and their head is in the game on every play. You remember a few years ago we had Bryce Ford Wheaton, who could make some of the most impressive catches out there and drop the easy ones, like a certain Pitt game when the ball went straight through his hands without even changing trajectory. And I'm a little worried about some of the chatter out there, but we'll see. All right, guys, I do appreciate you hanging around. Again, please support the site, support the channel if you want me to keep it going. And I have to get my head kind of straightened around doing this video tonight in bad lighting, because an awful lot to do tomorrow, trying to catch stray cats and trying to make outdoor housing for those I don't catch, because the weather is going to turn. All right, guys. We have another game coming up next week, Arizona State, then a bye week, and then Texas Tech. They say the brain is fried right now. Too many things running around in it. But I'll be talking to you maybe once again this week, and then again for the next game. So long.